It's a bird. It's a plane. Oh no, it's just that new Superman movie most critics hate right now. In this video, we're going to talk about spoilers, the future of Justice League, things I liked about this movie, things I disliked about the movie. Also, we're going to talk about the critical overview of this film. But first, let's start off with Rotten Tomatoes right now gave this movie a 57% rating. Now listen, I'm all for film criticism. You know, I love watching movie reviews, I love reading them, you know, and I kind of consider myself more of a film enthusiast. Like, I'm a guy who likes movies. You know, I'm a guy on a mission with a bucket of popcorn. I want to watch a good movie and then I just want to talk about it. But when I see film scores like that on a website where Spider-Man 3 has that much of a higher rating than Man of Steel, mathematically, statistically, I can't comprehend what's happening there. Okay, so here's what I did for this video on my Facebook page, which you can click the link down below. So what I did is I asked people to let me know what their issues were with the movie. Good or bad, if I agree or disagree, please let me know down below. That way I could address some of their problems in this video. You know, I wanted to open up my melon. I call my head a melon. I wanted to open that up and really, you know, suck in the flavors of maybe what was bad with Man of Steel. And I'll tell you what, it tastes sour. Okay, I don't even know what we're talking about anymore, but what I did is I took a general consensus of all the major issues with this movie. I wrote them down on a list. One of the first issues we had was too much action. I would say it's a comic book superhero movie with a man who can fly, who has superpowers, and I don't find that the movie had too much action. I actually thought the movie was very well balanced. I mean, you don't really get a big epic fight scene between Superman and somebody until the halfway point of the movie. Now, the first 20 minutes of the movie, which is another issue people had, it spent too much time on Krypton, which, you know what, we've never really gotten a good look at Krypton. I think this movie took the chance and the opportunity to give us a look at Krypton because we're never really going to have that opportunity again, or at least anytime soon. Having that look at Krypton and the way that things work in the social society and the settings really helped to develop the characters of General Zod and also Russell Crowe's character, who is the biological father of Superman. And as far as too much action goes, I couldn't disagree more. You know, the last Superman movie that we got, which I just call Sad Man, who flies around spying on people, I don't think he actually threw a punch in the movie. But as far as the action goes in this movie, you know, I wanted to see a man. I wanted to see him being super, hence the name Superman. One issue with some of the action would be towards the ending of the finale of the movie. You know, it gets really big, it gets almost a little too bloated, things are happening a little too quick. And it's not to say that I didn't know what was happening. I mean, I'm competent. You know, I can tell what's happening on the screen, but the problem with the pacing towards the action climax at the end of the movie, it didn't give you enough time as a viewer to get real involved in what was happening. Like, I didn't feel like there was a lot of suspense going into it. It was like, is he gonna be able to do it? Or I don't even have time to think about that. They just go ahead and do it. General Zod never said, kneel before Zod. I'll give you that one. That would have been nice to hear. Lois and Clark's relationship was rushed. Can't disagree with you too strongly there. It did feel a little bit rushed towards the end, but hey, when a redheaded chick sees a man flying around in a red cape, she falls in love. Also, you know, maybe they could have hinted at them kind of having a connection and then really brought that relationship out in the sequel. I think that would have been an okay way to do it. But overall, you know, I thought she did good. I thought she brought a sense of humanity to it. I liked how Lois in this movie had a presence and an intelligence about her. Like, she figured out who Clark Kent really was, and it made sense the way that she backtracked his story. Zod was not menacing enough. Michael Shannon, who plays Zod in this movie, the whole reason that he is General Zod. He was genetically born to be a protector of Krypton. He will do anything and everything in his power. You know, the ends will justify the means in this man's situation. And I don't think he was trying to be this evil guy. I mean, he was really just, in his mind, doing whatever it took to keep Krypton going, or the civilization to continue. Basically, in the movie, he wants to transform planet Earth into the new Krypton. It's kind of like what they wanted to do in Transformers 3, where they bring Cybertron to Earth. Anyway, I never use Transformers 3 as a reference. Okay, at the climax of the movie, we have a shit ton of collateral damage. Literally, buildings are just flopping over, things are blowing up. I mean, in reality, it looked like at least a minimum of 10,000 people might have died or possibly got injured. And I say to that, at first when I was watching that, I was like, damn, I mean, come on, Superman, save a few people. But really, in the end, he kind of saved the entire planet. I kind of like the fact that it wasn't this lighthearted, you know, two people skin their knee running away from the big ship trying to kill Earth. I like that buildings were toppled over. I like that things had to be sacrificed in order to do what was necessary. Because if you have an advanced alien technology coming to Earth to destroy us, don't you think a few people might die in the process of that? But you know what? After thinking about the movie a little bit longer, and I really think about the climax of this movie where everything was going wrong, and it felt like it could have been the third movie in a franchise with the stakes being so high, humanity needed an event to happen that really showcased that this man was the man, the savior of humanity. And I think that's what they needed to do, was really showcase this big grand event that everyone could see and really get behind Superman being the hero for them. Okay, one of the major issues everyone who gives this movie a negative review usually has to say is not enough character development. Okay, let's talk about the character development in this movie. Now, most of the character development we get is through flashbacks as a young Clark Kent is growing up. He's getting advice from his father, played by Kevin Costner, which, by the way, love Kevin Costner. You know, Waterworld sucked, but you know what? I still support you, Kevin. I still support you. Even though you got gills behind your ears, you're still a man, and I respect you. But as far as character development goes, I thought Clark Kent, through the flashbacks of his father talking to him and the events that he had going through as a child, they showed what was important. They gave you just enough. They didn't, you know, go too long with it. I liked the non-linear storytelling of this movie. I enjoyed the way that they jumped back and forth, because I think a linear story really makes a movie feel longer than it is. Also, I just didn't want to see 30 minutes of a young Clark Kent. And when they were there, the impact that they gave you was memorable. You know, when Clark Kent was hiding in that closet in school because all of his senses were going crazy. All the little talks that him and his father had, I just thought they were important and really developed him as a character. And when you finally meet up with a grown-up Clark Kent, you know, played by Henry Cavill in the movie, you really got a sense that his character was developed, you know, or at least in my opinion, because all those things that he went through as a child, I thought developed him as the man that he became. And one of the strongest moments in this movie is when Kevin Costner died by that tornado. Even though I disagree with him going back to save the dog, it's like, if the dog was so important, I think we could have maybe just got him out in the first place. And also, one of the other complaints you have in the movie is Russell Crowe's consciousness is aboard the ship, basically giving everyone just the perfect advice. I guess it's, you know, some kind of futuristic alien technology where you can have your consciousness aboard a ship almost in like a hologram form. I don't know. It was really just, you know, narrative for the movie and to explain the plot and to kind of guide Clark Kent in the right direction, which, you know what, if you're gonna have Russell Crowe, utilize him the most you can. At times it seemed a little bit too convenient. Okay, another complaint we have is at times the movie felt a little too rushed. I will say the first half of this movie, to me, was paced perfectly. I will say towards the second half, things did get a little bit rushed, especially towards the climax, like I mentioned, got a little bit rushed. Now, one of the other issues is people are saying from the point where Clark Kent becomes Superman felt rushed. You know, essentially he puts on the suit, he becomes Superman, he starts flying around. And we do have that little scene where he's kind of learning to fly. At first he's kind of doing like Hulk jumps, like he's jumping like a half mile at a time, then he just flies. I thought that was okay. I didn't really need like a 5-minute montage scene with 80s music behind it of him training to be Superman. You know, at the time in the movie, there was imposing doom coming. He didn't really have time to think or contemplate too much about becoming Superman. He just had to do it. And as far as the epic showdown between General Zod and Superman, where they're fighting through the city, destroying buildings, and Superman is forced to snap General Zod's neck because he's about to kill some innocent people with his heat vision. By the way, when he snapped his damn neck, his head spun around 3 times. I really enjoyed that defining moment because it forced Superman to make a tough decision. And now we know Superman will do whatever it takes to save humanity. Okay, so let's jump into the fun stuff here. In Man of Steel, we had a few cookies that are gonna kind of, you know, maybe be little hints to the future of Man of Steel movies or maybe Justice League. One of the tidbits that we get is you actually see Lex Luthor's tower in the movie, which is kind of setting him up to be a villain in future movies. That, you know, Lex Luthor to Superman is kind of like the Joker to Batman. Now, me personally, I've never been a huge fan of Lex Luthor. I don't know, it just, every time the guy's on screen, he has some kind of real estate scheme or something. But you know what? I think if they introduce Lex Luthor into this version of Superman, imagine a Lex Luthor in that robotic suit that you see in the video games and in the comic books books where he actually can put up a fight towards Superman for a little bit. That'd be pretty cool to see. And one other thing that we got in the movie was you have this shot up in space, you see this satellite floating around, and on the satellite you see a Wayne Enterprises logo. And when it comes to Batman, I'm a huge fanboy. If you watch my channel, you probably already know that. You know, when it comes to Superman, I was like, he's okay. But you know what? This movie, this Man of Steel movie, kind of re-energized my my anticipation of the character of Superman. But this movie is kicking ass at the box office. It's making a lot of money, which is basically guaranteeing that it's going to have a sequel. And I think in the sequel to this movie, they're really going to start introducing, you know, other Justice League characters and really start going that direction that we needed to go, which they need to kind of hurry up and do that, because I don't want to wait 7 years for a Justice League movie. You know, take your time, do it good, but don't make me wait a decade to see it. So guys, that's my spoilerish take on Man of Steel. That's everything I had to give you. Those are my internal thoughts. Those are my rebuttals. Let me know your thoughts down below. Did you hate the movie? Give me little things that you hated or liked about the movie, things that they can improve upon. And also, you know what? Talk to me about Justice League. What are your thoughts for Justice League? What are your thoughts on the Batman reboot? Let me know everything and anything down below. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.